Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Roped In podcast. I'm joined by the smiling sensation, Sam Alvey. Mr. Sam Alvey, how are you?
I am doing wonderful, my friend. Thank you so much for having me on.
So Sam, we were supposed to do this yesterday, but you've been so busy with Fight Camp, I didn't know how to maneuver around this and how to get you, but I've finally gotten you here, and it's really good to talk to you, Sam. You're in Fight Camp, correct?
Yeah, I'm at the tail end right now. Right now, I'm just in the weight loss part, or the weight cutting part. So, my training is done. I conditioned one last time this morning. Now I'm going to jog every morning and eat no salt.
Oh wow! So that's got to be really tough, huh? With the weight cut and no salt and stuff. Like, you've done it so many times now. I'm sure. Is it still difficult, or is it like much easier now?
It's never easy. But what I've always said is I love fighting. I would be willing to fight for free, but you're going to pay me a bunch if you're going to make me cut weight. It is, weight cutting sucks. I've done it a bunch. I know what I can do. I know how comfortable and uncomfortable it can be, but I know how to do it, and I'm ready to do it.
So Sam, you've been in the UFC. I'm gonna talk about a little bit of your history first. A lot of people know you from The Ultimate Fighter, which was in 2012. And you had that spectacular knockout to enter the house, and you were the first pick for Team Carwin. What was it like in Ultimate Fighter, with Shane Carwin and Roy Nelson and the house and everything? Like, do you look back at it fondly, or was it like a really difficult time for you?
Difficult's not the word, but so what everyone will remember the most from is I'm the Let Me Bang Bro season.
Yeah.
So that's it was the most the most memorable thing that's ever happened in The Ultimate Fighter, I think, and I got to be on camera with it the whole time. But yeah, it's not that it was difficult. It was long. It was about 6.5 weeks, and while we were in it, we all compared it to, this is like prison, except we get to eat whatever we want, kind of train all day, hang out with our buddies. So it wasn't really like prison, but it was. We had to follow their rules. We had to be where they said we had to be when we had to be there. So in that regard, it got long, and you can only. You're in a house with 15 other dudes. You can only talk about fighting for so long before you're just sick of talking about fighting.
Right. So you were infamously tested in that season when they threw your mattress into the pool, if I remember correctly, and you laughed it off, and everyone was like, "Whoa, this guy's he's pretty calm. What's up with this guy?" Like, Smiling Sam Alvey isn't just a nickname for you, huh?
Yeah. I forgot they did that until just a second. Those bastards. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Oh.
Yeah. It was in my infancy of watching mixed martial arts. It was around the time that I started training as well. So it was really cool to see how calm and collected you were, and you sort of brush it off as like, oh, it's a prank, guys. Come on, all right, whatever. And that was you're one of the few guys from that season to actually make it into the UFC and really harness your craft and sort of come back at it strong. I believe you left and went to Maximum Fighting Championship in Canada, right? In 2013.
Yeah. The UFC, after the season, they did not choose to keep me around, which worked out for the best. Maybe I wasn't ready. I went up. I won the world championship from the MFC. Which really was about my favorite promotion ever at the time. And I won the belt, defended the belt, fought there for a little more than a year and a half, and then moved on to the UFC. But it was such a good organization to really give me a taste of what that next level of competition can bring.
Right. It sort of obviously developed your craft to a point where when you came back to the UFC sort of universe in 2014, you did lose your first fight, but then your next three fights were all first round knockouts. Like, that must have been insane. Like, you must have been riding a crazy high at that time, huh?
I think I won the next 4 fights in a row, but yeah, 3 by first round knockout. It was just nice to. I mean, I was experienced. I think I was 24 and 3 or 4 when I got into the UFC, and I was experienced. That was kind of, in the Ultimate Fighter, I was the most experienced guy on the show. So putting my bed in the pool wasn't a big deal to the point where I forgot it. Uh, but getting to the UFC and then having huge performances like that. I beat Dan Kelly, who was 14-0 going into the fight. I beat Cesar Mutante, who he was the Brazil's next great hope. And we got brought down. I was brought in to lose, and I didn't. I had a hell of a time with that fight. And then Dylan Andrews. I mean, my first win, they flew me over to Australia after my loss. They flew me over to Australia, which is kind of cool. It was my first time there, and I knocked him out with my ass. I stopped the takedown and fell on him, knocked him out. It was just, I mean, storyboard. It was just a wonderful time. I look back at how successful I was early on in my UFC career, and I've been blessed.
Yeah, man, that heavy punch that you have, I still remember it. It was fantastic form and technique behind that punch. Currently you're sort of working towards a fight. You fought in the light heavyweight division for a bit, and you've come back to middleweight. Is light heavyweight just not the right place for you to be in?
I'll see what happens. I'll go wherever the UFC asked me to go. They didn't have anything at 85, so I said I'd fight 205, and then they came up with something. Those fellows got big. I mean, I held my own, and I think I beat most of them, but the judges disagreed. So I said, you know what, if they're going to consider size such a big advantage, I'm going to go back down to middleweight and be a big middleweight. Yeah,
and boy, I can't wait to see what the middleweights think when you get into the cage with them. So you're supposed to fight Ian Heinisch, but he's unfortunately pulled out of this fight, and now you're fighting Phil Hawes, who's a wrestler with heavy hands. Are you ready for Phil Hawes with this sudden change that's come about?
I was given a lot of notice, a lot of time that I was going to fight Ian Heinisch. I knew, I think, 4 months out. And so when they told us Ian Heinisch accepted, we said, well, of course we accept. We knew good and well I wasn't going to fight Ian Heinisch. We knew he was going to get injured. Something was going to happen. I wasn't going to fight him, because that's the way it always works. If you look at my record in the UFC, it's been years since I fought the guy I was supposed to fight. So when we got the call saying the switch was happening, I said, yeah, okay. I knew it was going to. So it didn't really take any different or any change for me. I was in camp. I was working my butt off, and I just continued working my butt off and staying in camp.
Mm-hmm. And I should ask, how's your eye? Your last fight, there were several eye pokes.
Oh, he poked me in the eye 7 times. I couldn't see for a week out of my left eye. It was ridiculous. He's a cheater, and he won via cheating. So I'm putting that in my game plan. I'm going to cheat my ass off from here on out. Every fight, I'm just eye poking and fish hooking and groin gouging. I'm going to town on everyone.
I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. 7 eye pokes is just unbelievable. That's insane how that just gets by, huh?
Yeah, I was by the end of the first round, I was scared to step forward. You can see it in the fight. Like every fight I'd have over the last 3 years, I had been walking forwards. I'm coming forwards. I'm working myself forwards. And Ian Heinisch, or what was his name? My last fight, he just poked me in the eye real quick, and I was scared to step forward. Every time I took a step forward, he'd jab me in the eye again.
Do you think, because this has been an issue with the UFC for a long time, where the eye pokes, the people have talked about, Joe Rogan's talked about the gloves and how it doesn't sort of benefit the fighters, and the extending the hand out before you throw something just to gauge the range. It seems to be a big problem in the UFC, and are there any steps being taken towards rectifying that?
I don't understand how it's such a big problem because I've got over 70 fights. I have never once poked anyone in the eye. I've never once kicked anyone in the groin. I've never done anything illegal in all of my fights. So how it keeps happening, I think it's on the fighter, and there should be no more warnings. Groin kicks, I can kind of understand. Sometimes the guy moves the wrong way and the kick lands, so maybe give a warning to that. But groin strikes are not as serious as eye pokes. Eye pokes will change the fight immediately. You take one eye poke and you are off the rest of the fight. So I would immediately take a point. If it happens twice, disqualify him. There's no reason at any point that you should be reaching forwards with your fingers extended. There's no benefit to it other than to scare people from coming forwards.
Yeah. Do you think like there perhaps a different style of glove should be introduced?
No, I don't think any glove is needed. Just take the point. You try and everyone. I think a new glove is trying to take the blame off the fighter. It is the fighter's fault. Like I said, I've been using the same gloves or worse for the last 15 years, and I've never poked anyone. It's not that hard to not poke somebody in the eye. And I know it's the John Jones rule because Jones has defended his belt quite a few times by poking people in the eye. So they tell you backstage, don't extend the fingers. If it's extended, I'm going to take a point. And then they go out and they might take a point maybe. I think the first eye poke is an automatic point. If you do two of them, the fight's over. You lose.
Right. Yeah. It's only fair. Vision. If you can't see your opponent, then how are you gonna? Yeah. How are you gonna defeat them?
It hurts when you're in the cage. Almost nothing hurts. You feel great. You get kicked in the face. You get kicked in the leg. It doesn't hurt. You get poked in the eye once, and it hurts. It affects the rest of the fight, even just one poke.
Yeah. No, for sure. So you've got this fight coming up with Phil Hawes. How well prepared are you for Phil Hawes, especially on this like quick change in fight?
Yeah, I feel great. I had a good camp. My weight's on point. I know how dangerous he is. The dude hits like a truck, and he's a D1 wrestler. He was a few years back. He's the real deal. But he doesn't work out with me. He doesn't work as hard as I do because nobody works as hard as I do. And I put in the work, I put in the hours, and I'm ready to get my hand raised again.
Well, I think everyone's looking forward to smiling Sam Alvey getting that W. Before I let you go, Sam, because I don't want to keep you for too long. You've got a fight coming up. I primarily do WWE or AEW reviews. I've interviewed the wrestlers and stuff, and you were watching the Royal Rumble recently, so I want to get your take.
Oh, I loved it. It was great. It wasn't as good as last year's, but it still had me hooked.
So who are your favorite wrestlers maybe growing up?
So I was the Attitude Era. So, everyone loves Stone Cold. The Rock's the people's champ. I love the Hardy Bros. Y2J, Chris Jericho. I always loved him. I remember when they first brought him out, he's going to save SmackDown. And they made such a big deal about it. And so I was hooked with Chris Jericho right off the bat.
Right. Do you still keep up?
Not as much as I should. Because of my job, my job fighting, I train at nights. So it's hard for me to watch like I want to. But I try and keep up with the pay-per-views. I think WWE's on the Peacock now. So I think I'm gonna just buy the Peacock. I'm gonna watch as much as I can when I can. And I really want my kids to get into it. I've always said the WWE, it is the one thing that would get me to quit fighting. Is if they were to call.
Well, there is a competing company out there now called AEW. I'm sure you've heard of it. And
oh yeah,
it's basically a sort of replica of what the Attitude Era used to be, without like in 2022 as Attitude Era-esque as you can get. Without actually being the Attitude Era. So, hey, maybe AEW is definitely looking to get a lot of people,
I would like that. the WWE after the Attitude Era, they started locking down on people's mic time, and it seems so much more scripted now than it used to. And
Yeah.
I would love the free reigns to get that mic and just try and make the fans that way.
So that's what AEW is really known for. That they allow a lot of creative freedom for their competitors and their wrestlers. So hey, it's we've seen in the past. We've had two UFC former champions win their respective Royal Rumbles this year in Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar. And it seems as though mixed martial arts transitions really well into professional wrestling. So, Sam, is that ever on your agenda? Would you ever like to try out to become a professional wrestler?
I absolutely would. I mean, in a heartbeat. I love the UFC, and I hope to spend the rest of my career fighting because there's few things I like more. But if I had the opportunity to perform on the wrestling stage, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Hey, you're 35 years old. Shaquille O'Neal and Snoop Dogg did it. I'm sure as hell that Sam Alvey, you could do it. Sam, I'm gonna let you go, but do you have any plugs? And I'd like to see your face. We couldn't do it because there seems to be some sort of I don't know, some technical issue with this recording. But I'd like to show your face to all the people watching.
Let me. Yeah, absolutely. I'll turn the camera on.
Something's happening there. There we go.
Is it working?
It's working just fine. There's that smile. Sam, do you have any plugs that you want people to go visit?
Yeah, so I love TikTok. I'm huge on TikTok. So follow me on TikTok. But I've also started a YouTube page. I've got 15 years of experience. I've got 15 years of fights, and I've been around the world 3 times. I fought on every continent but one. And I'm telling my stories, and I do it all on my YouTube page. It's at Smilin' Sam, SMILEN Sam. Just give me a like, a follow. I'm very communicative. Can't say it, communicative. With the fans as I reach out back to them. So yeah, please follow me on social media, especially YouTube and TikTok.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, Sam, for this chat. Wishing you the best of luck in your fight on the 5th. And man, you're can't wait to see you back in top form in the UFC. Or maybe in wrestling someday.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam.